Game on, everybody! WarCraft 3, the Ryzing Cup is here, and over to the top right, an up-and-coming German talent, RemoDemo. I heard about this guy, I heard good things about him. I'm not quite familiar with the player, but... Ooh, waypoint, already forgotten here. Not a good start. But yeah, I heard a lot of things about him, and I think he has a bright future ahead of him. That's at least the rumors. You could say he's a rising star. But with that said, bottom left of the map, Concealed Hill, we actually have his opponent, FastWin. First round in the tournament, Rising Star Cup number 6. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we have Remo from Back to WarCraft playing in the first game, and this is going to be pretty cool. So we're going to see how this is actually going to pan out for him here. But I have to admit that I'm pretty hyped for this one. Usually, of course, he doesn't really get the chance to play those games himself. But in this case, since I'm taking over on a bi-weekly basis for the tournament, he has an opportunity and he took it immediately. So let's see how far he can get in the bracket. A couple of other players that we want to jump into earlier, and games of them is, for example, Taker, who's obviously also signed up for this. But then we have the heavy hitters coming in. Happy, of course, once again. Not only signed up for the tournament, but also the huge favorite to win the entire thing. And yeah, at this point, the big question in the tournaments is just simply, can Happy be beaten? And who's going to take Happy down? That's pretty much the question. So Archmage first already starting on the other side. Remo starting with the Death Knight. And we have already a bit of scouting going on with the Acolyte moving down to the bottom of the map. A little bit of a Peasant Scout coming up here as well. By the way, FastWin obviously, for all of you that are not really quite familiar with WarCraft 3, since a lot of the people watching this, of course, are probably coming more so from my community too, which is more, yeah, focused on heroes. But FastWin, definitely not a nobody that we have here, so this is a real challenge for Remo for sure. So he needs to be a bit careful. Death Note, for example, was taken down in a human mirror just recently by him with the recent results. But there's a creeping already going on to get the Archmage a little bit higher and snag the first items here. Remo is well aware of it, so he has now the safety of actually going up at the top for his own creep spot without having to be afraid of early aggression from the human player. And, well, as it turns out, Circular Nobility, good starting item here for the Archmage, so not really... from Miro's perspective, not really the best item. I think we're a little bit biased in the first game. I got to admit that straight up. So we're obviously going to try and figure out if Remo can make it a little bit deeper into the tournament or not. But from FastWin's perspective, this is definitely a good start for him, starting up with this one. Level 2 for him, of course, Aura kicking in now too. Water Elemental and Aura, so we're going to see a bit more creeping. In the meantime, Remo is already going straight in for the Necropolis, stacking up to tier 2. And yeah, I'm a little bit curious to see how far he can actually go with this. Like, seriously. So at the beginning it was just like more of a gag. Are we going to cast him or not? And I was just like, well, let's just go for it. So yeah. At this point, it's all about the Death Knight arrest, so let's see what he can actually pull off with that. Of course, a Rod of Necromancy, an undead that rides in style needs that item, and he is no exception here. Gets a bit of early aggression in. That's the Dead Peasant right there. I mean, if he gets one hit in, yeah, not even wasting mana for that one. Look at him, like a pro. Just a quick calculation, that's a German efficiency that we need in this game. Comes in and says, I could actually get him without using mana for it. Took a little bit of a beating afterwards. Is now a bit low on the Death Knight, which doesn't help him too much. The Fiend over here also is in a bit of trouble. There's a bit of scouting still going on in the main base. And another Footman is actually getting eliminated. Alright, so for now he gets some experience together. The problem is that we still have the Archmage with level 2.5, so he's quickly getting towards level 3, where he would then have Water Elementals on level 2. But from an Undead's perspective, what you're really just trying to accomplish is you're trying to keep the human player as... Oh, that's gonna hurt! And that's the TP right there, and I don't think he got the experience either. Did he hit it? I think it was actually a skeleton that grabbed the experience for him here. But yeah, I had to sacrifice the town portal. As I was about to say, from his perspective, of course, he wants to keep the human player as low as he possibly can, wants to make sure that he rests a little bit, maybe get some creeping going on at the side with his ghouls, and then grab a superior attack and try and use that to his advantage with a push against the human player. And of course, these days, as a human, you don't necessarily have to go for that immediate fast expand there. So in this case, it's more of a setup with a one base. Probably gonna go straight into rifles then as well. There we have them already. And yeah, thanks to the Fountain of Health here and Concealed Hills, at least the Death Knight is going to be up in tip-top shape. Has also a couple of decent items. I mean, the Gloves of Haste in the early game are not going to do him too much good, but once the Lich is in play, he will definitely hand those over for the range damage. And with the Gauntlets of Augur Strength, he's at least boosting the hit point pool a little bit, so that's already going to be nice for him. A bit of a push into the main base, though. So FastWin has decided that he wants to double-check if Remo is able to deal with all of that. Acolytes are already being pulled immediately. And the big question is still, can he save all of those? The problem is he just teched into the Black Citadel, and with that, every Acolyte that he loses is a big, big blow, and that's where the Coil comes in. Coil in, one Acco down on the right side on the other hand, and the Archmage still without any trouble whatsoever. Level 3 currently for the first hero on the human side. Rifleman still hunting down a few of the Fiends, but the Water Elementals and also the Footman still going ham against the Acolytes here. Yep, resource gathering is going to be a little bit down more on the low side for the Undead player, as we have once again another Acolyte just barely getting coiled. 3 remaining at this point in time. Archmage a bit low, wants to force him to TP, obviously. Mana's just not enough to get another coil through, and there's the Town Portal finally, just before he starts losing units, especially the Rifleman, of course. But that's still a big blow against Remo. Losing 2 Acolytes just as the tech started. Black Citadel is done roughly 50% time. Over here, quick scout to see if there's maybe another expansion of the Undead player. That's not the case. But FastWin is in a pretty solid spot for him right now. Down at the bottom of the map, second hero is coming in, so Mountain King is coming through for FastWin. Tech into the keep, obviously, therefore completed. And he's not wasting any time, goes straight in for the next camp. Remo is also trying to be a bit more aggressive with the few Fiends that he has. Currently on a perspective of just simply... I mean, if you just look at supply numbers, he's far behind right now, and he doesn't really have a lot of resources too. It's not really unorthodox for an Undead player to be far behind in supply at the beginning. It's super difficult to actually break through the defenses of an Undead base, so that's not really an exception. As an Undead, you are normally quite safe in the main base, outside of the tech patterns, but you're trying to just hoard enough gold without going into low upkeep to then just crush over your opponent with a huge army and a tech advantage. And that's something that Remo in this case just doesn't really have. Losing those Acolytes mid-tech, well actually at the beginning of the tech, didn't definitely do him any favors there either. But at least he's looking at the Lich right now. Stormbolt connects on the other hand. It's hammer time, baby, as we have Muradin coming straight in. A little bit of body blocking here from a Footman for just a moment, but the coil comes through. Death Knights on level 3.5, so at least up on top HP immediately. Remo currently on 27 supply, and all of that up against the 42 that we're seeing from FastWin, who now also has a farm right over there at the Goblin Laboratory. Can therefore always get a quick scout through. Another Stormbolt hits home, but the Nova also not too bad. And the Slow in particular costs the life of another Footman as he takes 1-2 down pretty quickly. And good aggression from Remo, I like it. So he's trying to get something done here. Gets the third hero in too, has the Dark Ranger now to top that off. And that's the end of the Rifleman. Still pressure against the Death Knight as the main hero. Obviously the biggest threat against FastWin. And he's trying to make sure that the DK can't get anywhere near that Undead army. Stormbolt after Stormbolt is getting connected to Mountain King with a Potion of Greater Healing in the inventory, and connects another one with a Lich. There's a lot of damage now. Without statues, this is really, really tricky for Remo. In the main base, obviously, those statues are already being built by him. But down here, he is having some trouble for sure. Dark Ranger is still sitting tight, trying to escape here too. He's hunting down the Lich at the same time. But with the Death Knight, he should actually be able to help him out. Already trying to come in from the side here. Has enough mana for a coil in just a few seconds. But the aura alone is already going to do the trick here. Bottom of the map though, Dark Ranger has to be careful too. So Remo's actually doing what he can to occupy FastWin as much as possible. And FastWin has actually lost a fair amount of units in this encounter. He's back to 40 supply now, but he also banked quite a few units, and he teched to tier 3 as well. So he is now rocking a triple hero composition too. And if you get that on a high level, then it's not really a lot of fun for any Undead player out there, because once that you get a Stormbolt to the face and then a Holy Light, just to join that, you are going to drop hit points on those heroes like there's no tomorrow. So it's going to be super difficult for Remo if all of those heroes get their XP. to survive through the late game. Footman lost. Yep, that Orgulord is definitely packing a punch here with his little club. And again, in comes Remo with a nice timing, but can he actually pull it off? No destroyers just yet to dispel the water elementals either. Another Stormbolt against the Dark Ranger, but not enough damage to seriously threaten her. Mountain King still on level 1. He's looking on the mana for a second one too. Death Knight at the front, and that's usually not where you want him to be. And even the Force Troll Trappers are helping out with another Ensnare. So the fight is definitely on right now. And in terms of supply, it is pretty even. Remo is currently just a little bit trailing behind the human player's numbers, but he loses a Fiend in the process now too. Over here in the main base, still going for additional Fiends in the inventory. The one thing that we now have for the Lich is also the Orb of Corruption, so at least he's set up with that. Problem is that this fight is still going on, and the Augur Magi goes down. Tomb of Strength is also getting dropped. Can actually pick that up real quickly. That's a nice hit point boost for the Death Knight, as we still have a little bit of an attack happening here. But by now we have the priests behind all of this helping out. Aura is on level 2, Archmage on 4, and that's a nice lead that we have in experience for the AM, and this is really going to help him. So far the Death Knight hasn't made it to the next level just yet, but at least he has the statues in his backhand now so that he can actually start to get a little bit more mana for those spells. And the hit and run strategies that Undeads have been employing for years on end are obviously frustrating players in the thousands, so this is exactly what he's banking his hopes on right now. We don't have a single expansion though, so it's still one base versus one base setup between the two that we're seeing here. Nobody has crossed over into the low upkeep yet either, so we have 48 supply against 44. And Remo's still looking for opportunities here, starting to come in up at the front and immediately over into the backline. Also the silence against the priest, and the first one is already down. The second one is being hit immediately. No healing at all for FastWin. That's actually great attack here from Remo, doing a lot of work. Another quick heal hits the Rifleman as the human player is desperately trying to keep those bad boys alive, but the Lich also has the mana for another Nova and could slow them all down. Obviously not level 2 just yet, but another priest bites the dust, and that pierce damage against the unarmored units is just absolutely racking through that priest line. And oh, the Stormbolt against the Death Knight. There's no town portal, and there's the attempt immediately to go for the body block. He can't quite make it happen, and with 31 HP he actually makes it out thanks to the aura. Whoo, moment of shock here for Remo. But we have 42 supply now for FastWin, and our boy in red is actually fighting his heart out right now. The German efficiency is definitely coming through in this one. I mean, that was calculated. 30 hit points left on the Death Knight as he escapes. Definitely playing with fire a little bit. The good thing for the human player is now that he has a shot at that Orgulord, and that one goes down immediately, and it's a Legion Doomhorn that he gets for his troubles. So yeah, actually a nice item for him. But a lot of priest losts. I mean, that is actually incredible. He was able to take pretty much every single priest down was there. And by now we have Abominations joining the fun too. This is starting to become a really nice game for Remo. He was definitely suffering at the beginning a bit when the human player successfully attacked the base in the middle of the tech and shut his economy to hell. But now he's looking way better here. Experience is of course still a bit of a concern, so if that combo with the Paladin and the Mountain King reaches a higher level, then those attacks are going to become tricky. FastWin even going into the lower upkeep right now. We have Remo also on 51 supply. Yep, here comes a bit more experience, few more items. Another creep check attempt though, as he's sniffing him out, trying to go straight for him, and so far the Red Drake hasn't been taken yet, so he doesn't get the item. Here comes the flank, that's the Nova, that's exactly what you need right now. And the Rifleman is down, but once more the pressure against the Death Knight, by now also with the Potion of Greater Healing in the inventory, so that's definitely something that can help him out here. Immediate attack again against the Fiends, the human player trying to take them down one after another, but the priests are falling too, and with the help of the Dark Ranger we have more minions coming in as well. Remo losing one of the statues, he's in a bit of trouble, but he's still kicking one human unit after another to the curb here, and the human player is down to 48 supply right now, pretty dead even when it comes to the numbers, but here's the attack against the Paladin. Potion of Greater Healing saves his bony ass, and once again the pressure immediately with the Orb of Corruption against the ranged units. One Rifleman after another one goes down. The focus onto the second hero, but with level 2 we already have him straight up with the Divine Shield here. And again the pressure, this time against the Lich. There might just be enough that he can pull off in order to threaten him, but also the Archmage in trouble, and there's no town portal anymore. None of the players has a TP at this point in time, and the AM is in trouble, and there's a Nova, the coil, and he goes down. As Lich is also fallen, but that's the entire aura already gone, and now he's trying to run away from the undead army. 39 supply for FastWin only, as he's hightailing it out of there. Remo has pretty much the exact same numbers. This game is getting insane, and we are only in the first round of the tournament. Death Knight on level 4.5 has the potion of lesser invulnerability now in the inventory as well. We have a level 2 Mountain King who desperately wants to hit level 3. The Lich hasn't hit level 3 yet either. Died in the last encounter, of course, too. And the Dark Ranger has at least reached the 3rd level. More creeping now by both of them. But Remo's army is getting pretty sick here. Those Fiends and Aboms without any upgrades just yet, but the double statue just behind it. Now a few more items coming in for him too. But this is looking better and better for the undead player. If he can keep that pressure up, that would be fantastic for him. Parry Vitality is a little bit of an HP boost. I think the biggest threat to Remo is really just the hero combo. At this point, it's a big question of whether or not FastWin is going to be able to apply enough pressure with Mountain King and with the Paladin to get anything done during the team fight. And a lot of that will hinge on his ability to get both heroes to level 3 so that he has Stormbolt and the Holy Light on the next level and can do a little bit more damage with that. But for now, that doesn't seem to be the case. There's a little bit of scouting going on. I mean, it's super important for FastWin now too to double check if there's an expansion coming up for Remo at any point. But there's another quick attempt to maybe get some damage in. Do we have another hit? Yes, Rifleman gets already connected, but gets healed too. So a little bit of a mana exchange between the two of them. But the defensive position now for FastWin. He's at 50 supply, still in the no upkeep. Remo has already moved over to 54 again. That Archmage is just about to come back to finally supply his mana again to all of the casters in the backline. The Priest desperately needed for this encounter. Mountain King, on the other hand, is on level 3. That Stormbolt could hurt. But as we said before, there's a potion of greater healing in the inventory of the Death Knight. And also, by now, we have him with even additional mana thanks to the Pendant of Energy. So that's going to do a lot of good for him. Another attempt to go for the Red Drake maybe now from FastWin. I mean, he can't just sit tight in his base, obviously. He has already yielded a lot of map control to his opponent, but he needs to break through here, get some extra experience for the Paladin in particular, and also try and grab a couple of items. But we're seeing the exact same play on the other side from the undead player too. Obviously wants to add a few more items to the mix here, and with the Red Drake now going down on the left side. First of all, we get a Sobi Mask, so mana galore now for the human player. And I think the Paladin has a pretty good shot at reaching level 3 here. Up at the top, expansion has already been sniffed out, so that's all that he can do for now. But Remo definitely knows that he is really close to a potential victory here. 60 supply against 59. It is dead even at this point. A bit of a scout here. The Gyro's being taken down. And what did we get in items on the side of him? So first of all, we have that Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. That's of course a big one. And also, nice item here for the Death Knight to try and survive through all of that nuking that the human player can now use on his own. Expansion had to be cancelled at the top, but the main base is now being attacked. There comes the town portal, and that's going to be the fight for the game here. As first of all, the Fiends are getting nuked quickly, but the same is true for the Priests as well. And once more, they're just getting shredded to pieces by those Fiends. Nicely done by Remo thus far. Another quick heal to keep the Rifleman alive. 47 supply by now on the side of FastWin. Remo, on the other hand, is at 57. He's still way ahead when it comes to supply numbers. And he's crushing through the human player. He's going through him now like hot butter through cheese as he takes one unit after another. Now there's the GG as Remo takes the big win in the first game of the Ryzing Cup number 6.